Hi there, in this video we're going to show you how to do some delicious smoky pork ribs. Hi there, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. If you're new to the channel, my name's Ben, this is Smoking Hot Confessions, and we are all about barbecue. We've got our award-winning podcast published every Thursday, we've got cooking videos every Saturday, and we've got tips videos every Tuesday. So make sure you hit that little subscribe button, hit that little notification bell to be kept up to date with all things barbecue. Now when it does come to barbecue, pork ribs are some of the easier things to prepare. All you really need is a sharp knife and some paper towel. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to open up this rack of ribs. Now this rack of ribs did come from Aldi, so it's not an overly large set of ribs, but the reason I chose it is pretty straightforward. First of all, I can't really see the bones. There's maybe one spot down here that I can see, one spot over there. The rest of it is going to be looking really good. We've got a nice even layer of meat across the top, a bit of a strip down the middle there, which is quite nice as well. And all we need to do now is just trim off a little bit of the fat, but to be honest, this particular rack doesn't really look like there's going to be much for me to do. It's already been pretty nicely trimmed. So we're just going to flip him over, and on the back is a membrane. Now sometimes there's a big flap of meat running across here, and if you do get that, then it sometimes is important to trim that back, but we don't have that today, so we really don't need to worry about it. There is the membrane on the back. Now if you are a purist, you can get your knife in, you can wedge it in under there, lever it up and down, play with it a bit, grab the paper towel, grab the membrane and rip it off. When I'm cooking at home, I really don't bother with that. I just take my sharp knife and I score it across the back like this, and then come back the other way. What that does is that breaks the membrane now, so that as the ribs cook, the membrane isn't going to contract and curl my ribs. And that's really all we need that for. Now there is a little bit of meat sort of here at the end. Now that's not going to cook evenly, so I'm just going to take that off, give that a bit of a feel, work out where it is, and just take that off and square up the ribs nicely. Might have a go at this fat on the back here too. That's that easy. All right, now the first step in preparing your beef ribs is to choose a good rub, and today I've got a great one. I'm going to be using some Championship Cherry from Heavenly Hell. Now this stuff is absolute gold. It has cherry, smoked poblano and bacon in it. So if there's anything that's ever been made for a delicious pork rib rub, it's got to be this. Fantastic stuff, and local to the Gold Coast, which is nice too. So when it comes to seasoning your pork ribs, first thing you want to do is roll them over on their back, and you want to get the back of this first. Now, we have left that membrane on there, so we don't need to be too pedantic about it. Just sort of spread that on, press it in. Now, some people do recommend using a binder. I don't, I just prefer to use the meat's natural moisture to bind the rub to the meat. And I've never really found I've got a problem with it, to be honest. Across the front here, this is where you want to make sure you get it nice and even. This is a bit more important. Just going to make sure we get a nice even coverage across the face of the ribs here. Now we're going to let that sit for a minute and let that rub bind to that meat through the meat's natural moisture. And while that's happening, we're going to get these other ribs out and get them set up too. All right, now that's how easy it is to season up some delicious racks of pork ribs. We're going to pop them in the stretch by JAGRD Woodfired today, and it's ready to go. The smoke is sitting at 275 Fahrenheit, so it's time to put these guys in the smoker. All right, so these ribs are now ready for stage one of our process. in stage one, we're going to slide this rack in, we're going to leave the ribs for about an hour. After an hour, we're going to pull them out and check them, and we're looking for a dark mahogany colour, that nice deep wood, that dark wood colour. If we've got that colour, then we're going to move on to phase two. If we don't have it, we're going to slide them back in and give them another 30 minutes. But let's go. Now, time for a quick side note on wood. Today, we're going to be using Australian ironbark as the main fuel in the JAGRD. Ironbark is a hardwood, it burns hot, it burns for a long time, it's very dense, it's got quite a lot of weight to it. Now with these ribs today, we are using that Championship cherry rub from Heavenly Hell. Now for our flavour wood, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use a jam wood to accompany that beautiful Championship cherry rub. This jam wood is from WA, it's actually selected, cut and boxed by JAGRD, so you can buy it through them, the same people that made the smoker. And it's a really sweet burning, sweet smelling wood. It actually really does smell like raspberry jam. So I'm going to throw a chunk of this on to get some of that beautiful smoke on these ribs. Alrighty, so that's the first hour down, so it's time to open this up and have a look at what these ribs have been doing. Okay, so we're an hour in and we're not quite at that finish that we want. We can see that some of the juices are starting to bake through, that's good. We're starting to see it's starting to try and contract on those bones a little bit, but it's not quite there yet. So we're going to put them in there. We're going to give them probably another 30, no, we'll say 45 minutes. We'll put them back in for and we'll check them again. Okay, so we're up to about an hour 45 now. So we're going to just open up this JAGRD and have a bit of a look at these ribs inside. Okay, so these ribs are starting to darken up. They're about a nice sort of walnut colour now. They're almost at the point that I want them. I'm just going to pop them back in there, give them about another 15 minutes and then see how they look. All right, these ribs are looking great. There's that nice, even, dark mahogany colour that we're looking for, and that's at the 2 hour mark. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly probe them and see the resistance feel against the probe. We're looking for a nice, soft feeling. And if you're interested in temperatures, we're looking for around 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 160, 165, somewhere around there. But I'm more interested in the feeling between the bones. Oh, super soft. Okay, getting nice and soft there. All right, so we're ready to move on to phase two. Okay, so now we're ready for phase two of the ribs process. Now this is the wrap phase, and to do that, we're just gonna grab some brown sugar, some butter, some honey, and a few other things I'm gonna show you in a second. This is gonna be delicious. The first thing you wanna do is grab some brown sugar, and you're just gonna put a nice line of that out on the foil. Next thing we're gonna do is just cut off a couple of small to medium-sized slices of butter. Next, we're gonna take some honey. I'm gonna drizzle that honey in there. I'm gonna add a splash of this super special apple cider vinegar. It's from a natural group, Triple B Health Choice. Just a little bit. And we're also gonna add a little bit of this delicious glaze from Deep Southeast. This is the Sweet Carolina, and it is gonna be incredible with these pork ribs. So we've got a nice bit of liquid in there. We've got the brown sugar. We're gonna melt that butter on there. And if you're not familiar, butter and brown sugar are the two most important ingredients for making caramel. So yes, we are gonna caramelize these pork ribs. Put the pork ribs face down on top of it all, and then wrap them up nice and tight. Watch the edges of the bones that you don't poke through the foil. That's why we do put multiple layers on. Okay, it's worth pointing out here that now these are wrapped in foil, there's no point putting any more of that flavour wood on. Just put on some regular ironbark or whatever your standard fuel is and just keep the temperatures up. Because of course, now they're wrapped in foil, they're not going to take on any more of that smoke. Now we wait for another hour. Okay, so one of the things we need to do while these ribs are in foil and they're doing their thing is we need to prepare our glazing sauce, and this is super simple to do. Now I've got just a nice little stainless steel cup here with a basting brush. Sits in like that. I like to use this. Picked it up from Walmart for not very much when I was over there and brought it home because I spotted it straight away. I went, I know what that's going to be good for. Going to grab some more of our sauce, drop a bunch of that in there. we're going to throw in a bit more of this apple cider vinegar. I do like to add just a little bit of the original rub as well. A little bit of honey. And we're going to grab just another little bit of this butter. So now we've got that done, we need to find somewhere warm to put that so it all gets to melt and sort of stir in together. Now, because I'm cooking this on the JAGRD, I can sit it right on top there and it's going to work perfectly. All right, so phase 2's over for our ribs now. They've had an hour in the smoker there, wrapped up in all that goodness inside that foil. So we're going to open up that foil now and have a look and see what's going on. Oh, that smells fantastic. Goodness me. Whew, now, sweet baby mama, does that smell good. And those juices, oh, that's just like porky caramel goodness. So what I'm going to do now is just quickly hit them with a probe. And again, I'm not really so much concerned about temperature as I am about just feeling the resistance against the probe. And that's feeling nice and good there. Okay, so phase 3 is the glaze and setting the glaze. So of course, I've got that glaze that I showed you that I prepared earlier. I'm just going to brush some of that on gently over the top. Don't want to go too hard with it because we don't want to upset the beautiful finish we've already got on those ribs. Oh my God, how good does that look? So now that these are glazed, they're going back in the smoker for about 15 to 20 minutes to set that glaze, get it nice and tacky. Okay, so these ribs are finished their phase 3 now. They've set the sauce and just look at them. How good is that? I gotta tell you, they are very tacky to the touch. That sauce is nice and sticky, not overly sauced, they're not dripping in sauce. We do have some set aside if anyone wants to add some later. And now we're going to cut them up and give them a taste. Okay, when it comes to slicing up these ribs, we don't want to ruin that finish that we've worked so hard on. So I've got a little trick here for you. We're going to take some of this leftover sauce that we have in our glaze container here. We're just going to swish that on the cutting board. There we go. Get that nice and thick on there. Very good. Now we're going to grab a rack of these ribs. We're going to pop them face down in that sauce that we've left there. The reason we put them face down is because now we can see the bones. Just going to let us cut them nice and neatly. So when I'm cutting my ribs, I like to try as hard as I can to slice exactly between each bone. That's called a Cadillac cut. That gives the people a little bit of meat on either side of the bone. Just a little bit fancier. Oh my goodness. And there you have it, folks. Delicious, smoky, sticky ribs done in the stretch by JAGRD Woodfired. These look and smell amazing, which means there's just one thing left to do. Oh, that is beautiful. So that's it, folks. Get on down to your butcher or even Aldi and grab yourself some pork ribs and have a good time. Delicious, smoky, sweet, sticky, little bit of heat, and absolute all-round family favorite here at Smoking Hot Confessions. So, till next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.